Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're going to tackle a skill that's absolutely essential for any Java programmer, string concatenation. Now I know it sounds pretty basic, but trust me, knowing how and when to join strings is the secret to writing code that's not just functional, but also clean and super efficient. So let's jump right in.
All right, to get us started, here's a little question for you. Think about some of the most advanced stuff out there today. Generative AI that writes articles, websites that build personalized pages for you, or even just the simple error alerts that pop up on your screen. What do they all share at their core?
And the answer, believe it or not, is string concatenation. Yep. Under the hood, all of these complex systems are constantly, and I mean constantly, building new strings by stitching together smaller pieces of text. It's this simple idea of joining strings together, and it is absolutely everywhere. And we're not just talking about putting hello and world together. This stuff is critical. We're talking about building file paths on your machine, creating dynamic URLs for web applications, and even diving into really complex fields like natural language processing or analyzing DNA sequences in bioinformatics. This one little operation is a real workhorse.
So here's our game plan for this explainer. We'll start with why strings are the building blocks. Then we'll open up our Java toolkit and look at 5 essential tools. After that, we'll get into the big debate, simple versus efficient. We'll even go beyond the basics for a minute, and then wrap it all up with the final string of takeaways.
Okay, part 1, strings, the building blocks. Let's really set the stage for why this is such a big deal. It's funny, Java's creator, James Gosling, always talked about how important versatility and simplicity were to Java's design. And honestly, the different ways Java lets you handle strings, it's a perfect example of that philosophy. You've got a whole range of tools, each one perfect for a different kind of job. Which brings us right to the main event, your Java Concatenation Toolkit. I want you to think of these next 5 things as essential tools on your tool belt. Each one has a specific purpose, and knowing which one to grab is what separates the pros.
First up, the one you've all seen a million times, the plus operator. This is your hammer. It's simple, it's intuitive, and for a lot of quick, small jobs, it's exactly what you need. No fuss, no muss.
And you can see just how straightforward it is. You take first plus second, and boom, you get a new string, third. And that plus equals operator, that's just a handy little shortcut that adds second onto first and updates it. Super simple and really easy to read for basic stuff. Okay, next tool in the box is the concat method. Think of this as the more, let's say, official way of doing the same thing. Instead of an operator, you're actually calling a method on the string object itself. As you can see, first.concat second gets you the exact same result as using the plus sign. The really important thing to remember here is that concat always gives you back a brand new string. It never, ever changes the original ones. All right, time to break out the power tools. Meet StringBuilder. When you have a lot of string joining to do, especially inside a loop, this is your weapon of choice. If the plus operator is a hammer, StringBuilder is a high-powered nail gun. So let's see how this works. First, you create a StringBuilder object. Then, you use this super efficient append method to add more strings. And here's the magic. It does this without creating a new string object every single time. That is a massive performance win. Once you're done appending, you just call .toString to get your final finished string. Tool number 4 is for when you need a bit more finesse and structure. The String.format method is absolutely perfect when you're working from a template and you need to slot your values into just the right places. And look how elegant this is. See that S in the string? Think of that as a placeholder that just means put a string here. The format method then neatly swaps that placeholder with the variable you give it. This makes your code incredibly clean and easy to read, especially when you're building more complicated strings. And our final tool, which came along in Java 8, is String.join. This thing is a modern marvel, and it's fantastic for when you have a bunch of strings that you need to join together with the same separator, or what we call a delimiter. I mean, just look at how clean that syntax is. The very first thing you give it is the delimiter, in this case, just a space. Then you just list out all the strings you want to join. It's so good for stuff like creating comma-separated values or building a sentence from a list of words. Okay, so we've laid all 5 tools out on the workbench. Now for the most important part, knowing which one to pick up and when. This is all about choosing the right tool for the job. So here's the bottom line, the big trade-off. If you're just doing a simple one-time join with 2 or 3 strings, stick with the plus operator. It's clean, it's readable, it's perfect. But The moment you find yourself joining strings inside a loop, your brain should immediately scream StringBuilder. It will save you so much memory and processing time. Seriously.
Now, let's just level up for a second here. For those of you who work in multi-threaded applications, there's one more crucial detail you need to know.
You've probably also heard of something called string buffer. Well, it's basically StringBuilder's older, slower cousin. The key difference is this word, synchronized. String buffer is thread safe, meaning it's safe to use with multiple threads messing with it at once. But that safety comes at a cost to performance. That's why, for 99% of modern single-threaded code, the faster StringBuilder is the one you want.
All right, let's bring it all home. Time to wrap this up and lock in those key takeaways. Here's your cheat sheet. For simple, one-off stuff, use the plus operator. Need performance, especially in a loop? Grab StringBuilder. Got a list of things with a separator? String.join is your best friend. And if you're working from a template, String.format is the elegant choice. Getting this right will instantly make your code better. So, I'll just leave you with this final thought. Every piece of code you write tells a story. Now that you've got the complete Java toolkit for joining strings, how are you going to use these tools to write the clearest, the cleanest, and the most efficient story you possibly can?